Hello, I'm David Frost from Cambridge. Greetings from the UK. I'm here to say a big congratulations to all of those teachers who have been leading change in their schools. It really is a wonderful achievement, and I'm very happy to be here to help you celebrate that and to recognise that great work. So I've been connected with Kazakhstan for many years now, and I'm very happy to be part of your proceedings today. Let me say a few words about addressing educational inequality. And I think there are three key ideas that we need to focus on today. One is that inequality is a matter of injustice, and we address it because of our moral purpose as teachers, and we employ and enhance our agency. These three ideas are key, and I want to say a little bit about each of them. Justice, then. First of all, if you agree with me, and I think many people in the world would agree, that every child is entitled to an education. Every child, regardless of their cognitive ability, regardless of their state of mind, they may be disaffected, they may not have positive feelings about schooling, they may even be very difficult with their teachers. Nevertheless, I would suggest they are entitled to an education, and that's our moral purpose as teachers. The moral purpose then is that commitment to the interests of those students, to all of the students that we meet in our schools. It's our deep commitment to their interests. It is a sense of vocation, if you like, and I'm sure most of us went into teaching because we felt that calling, that sense of vocation. And so what we do in school should be chiefly guided by our pedagogical principles, not just waiting for somebody to tell us what to do or to give us instructions, but because we have beliefs about what is educationally valid and in the interests of our students. Agency is a commonly used term these days in the media, but it's an important concept. It's about the human capacity to make a difference to themselves and the world around them. It is part of the human condition. And we are, of course, all shaped by social structures. The society we inhabit shapes how we think and what we feel we should do. But we have the freedom to make a difference to those norms. We can change those norms. And if we get together with like-minded like colleagues, for example, we can engage in reflection and discussion, and we think about our experience, and this strengthens our sense of agency so that we are prepared to challenge the norms and try to do things differently. Altogether, I think those three ideas are very important. Educational inequality is about addressing matters of justice. It's about drawing on our moral purpose as teachers and our agency as human beings. The subject of educational inequality is huge, of course, and I haven't got time to address this in detail today. But all of those things on my list, access to schooling, poverty, issues to do with identity, system factors, the way the schools are built, the way systems run, and of course pedagogical factors. And government people often assume that the only thing that teachers can do anything about is the last of the list, pedagogical factors, but that isn't true. I have seen over many, many years teachers addressing problems that arise under each of those headings. For example, it may be that certain kinds of children are excluded from school because they don't speak the language, the dominant language, or because they're discriminated against because they are of a different ethnic background. And many teachers have come up with ways to address that, ways to break those barriers and to help those children become included. So there are always things that teachers can do to address these difficulties. So how does the idea of non-positional teacher leadership help? Well, chiefly because it provides that framework of support. It enables colleagues to come together and reflect and discuss the important issues, what the problems are that each teacher feels they can address. They enable those teachers to set their own agenda, to clarify what it is that they think they can make a difference to, and then they can talk to their colleagues about it and get some agreement about the problem and how it might be addressed. And teachers can lead their own projects. We have found this over the last 35 years or so, that teachers have a great capacity to design a project, to work with their colleagues, to make a difference to something they really care about. And what difference does it make when this happens? Well, I have found over years that people who participate in the non-positional teacher leadership programs, they're able to improve not only their own practice, but the practice of their colleagues. So if their projects are collaborative, they work with their colleagues, to develop practice which is shared across a number of classrooms and so on. We also find that those individuals who lead projects, their moral purpose and their agency becomes stronger. Their self-efficacy, if you like, becomes stronger. They strengthen the belief in themselves to make a difference, and that they should make a difference. The third line here, they usually make a difference to the professional culture in the school. In other words, the norms about how teachers talk to each other about teaching and learning, the way things are done in the school amongst this body of staff. This changes when many teachers lead change themselves. And of course, lastly, the senior leaders, the school principal, vice principals and so on, they understand more about what teachers are capable of. When they hear about teachers' projects, they think to themselves, aha, here are some good ideas. Didn't realize we had this strength amongst the teachers. And they therefore then begin to trust their teachers more and to respect their teachers more. We have seen this change many, many times. People will often say to me, so how do you know this sort of thing works? What's your evidence? And it's very simple. It's because teachers have been helped to tell the stories of their projects. And I hope today you will be coming together to tell stories about your projects. And these stories of teacher-led change have been shared and published in books and articles, and of course in live events like yours today. They have published their stories by sharing them with each other at such events. Here are a few examples of the attempts in my network to publish teachers' stories, and some of those books are available in a language that you may be able to speak. You see, one of our books was translated into Russian in 2014, and then of course the Teacher Leadership in Kazakhstan book was published in Russian a couple of years ago. The latest book, Teachers and the Practice of Leadership, is not yet in Russian, but I hope it will be soon. So those stories embedded in those books are very inspiring. And when teachers read those stories, or when they tell their stories to each other in events such as today, their collective moral purpose and grows in a kind of organic way. Each story feeds that sense of moral purpose that people share. Let me finish by just drawing attention to the free resources that you can download on the non-positional teacher leadership website. I hope you'll follow these links. You could also go to the same site to follow my blog, which is also there. And I hope you'll subscribe to it. If you can read English, then please follow that blog. Or perhaps you can use one of these technological devices that you have access to these days to translate for yourself. Thank you very much for your attention today.